I love tennis. It's one of those games I truly enjoy, not just for the fact that it gets you to run and the athleticism. I love it for the fact that it's got discipline. Anytime I have some time, I'd like to play. Even if I cannot play, I try to watch it on YouTube. And recently, what I was watching, I noticed that I remembered that in all my experience of watching tennis, whether the Australia Open, the US Open, there's something missing. Africa is missing. Yes, you sometimes you see some African Americans like Coco Golf, and yes, once in a while you see some white South African, but Black African almost never. And this is not accidental. It seems like it's by design. What makes it even more troubling is how the sport describes itself. So you hear things like world number one, world number two, world number three. But the question is, if Africa is missing in this whole setup, then what world are we talking about? It begins to feel like Africa is not recognized as part of the world, but only as a footnote or as a peripheral space somewhere. And this is not just about tennis. Tennis is just merely a mirror or just one case in this whole scenario. And to be fair, tennis has a history. It's a sport of the elite. It is sport marked by race, class, and access. And for a long time, it was explicitly exclusionary. You have private courts, expensive equipment, limited access to courts, and unspoken racial barriers. So Africa's absence today is not surprising. But here is the difficult part. Why has this exclusion lasted for so long? Why hasn't anybody said or done anything about it? At what point does history stop being an excuse and start becoming a responsibility? This pattern repeats itself far beyond tennis. Take the First and Second World War, for instance. These wars were called world wars, yet Africa did not declare them, did not initiate them, did not benefit in the outcomes of the war. Still, Africans were conscripted, African resources were extracted, African lands became strategic battlegrounds. So Africa paid the price without being a true player. Hmm. Another example, the global decision-making bodies. The United Nations Security Council, the Bretton Woods institutions, and global financial and trade systems. Africa is often affected, but rarely represented. Africa is present in consequences, but absent in power. And this brings me to a more deeper issue. Africa is not absent because Africa lacks talent. Africa is absent because when these systems were designed, they were not designed with Africa in mind. And worse, many of these systems still continue because Africa is yet to redesign its own. And so we must recognize that visibility is not accidental. Respect is not gifted. They are structured. They are built. If Africa desires global respect and visibility, reform must be intentional. First, investment in human capital, sports, science, diplomacy, and technology. None of this can thrive without long-term planning and infrastructure. Second, continental thinking. No serious global power is built by fragmented states all competing against one another. Third, ownership of narrative. Africa must stop waiting to be included and start defining what inclusion looks like. And fourth, standards and systems. From education to governance and to politics, Africa must set standards that rewards excellence over proximity to power. And finally, representation and substance, not symbolic seats, not token inclusion like we have in the UN, but real representation that is backed by competence, unity, and strategy. When Africa is missing from tennis, from global rankings, from world decision-making institutions, it sends a message not just to the world, but to the African youth. And it says, this space is not for you. Reform is about changing that message. Africa must get it right. We will get it right.